Hey guys! Sorry, I'm just trying to set the camera a bit better. Right. It's pretty good. Hi, how are you? How's your week starting? It's a bit different from usual. First because it's Monday, and second because it's a bit earlier than usual, so I don't know how many people will be able to join in. Hi Rob, hi April? Hi Simona, ciao. So yeah, I'm gonna get started. As you can see here, I have my ice mermaid or glacier mermaid. She is of course the protector of the glaciers, and that's why she's looking fierce. Hey Manohar! So that's why she's looking so fierce, because of course glaciers are, melting because of climate change, so she's pretty pissed off. And that's why she's the mermaid that looks kind of like the most serious or aggressive. She's even got her little scepter, and she's not afraid to use it. So yeah, I'm gonna get started. I hope that you can hear me okay. Is the music too loud or too quiet, or just let me know in the chat if you can hear me, and I'm gonna get started. So first I am going to basically do the mask, like the full color, like flat color mask as I usually do. So I'm just gonna turn off the reference for a second and start with the lasso tool. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad that you're enjoying your homework while watching. That's great. So yeah, just let me know if the music is too loud or too quiet, or if you can hear me okay. I'm always worried that people are not gonna hear. So yeah. And as you can see here, I'm just using the lasso tool to create the first sort of layer of flat mask silhouette. I'm not overly accurate at this stage, as you probably know already. I'm more just trying to get most of the job done quickly rather than accurately, because I'm gonna go in and tidy it up anyway with the pencil tool, or the brush tool. So it doesn't really make sense to spend too much time trying to do it perfectly with the lasso tool. I had a pretty good Monday. Don't know, it feels like it's not Monday, it feels like it's a different day. I don't know why. Probably because I'm doing the live, and so I feel it's still the weekend. Although I did work today, so I've been editing videos mostly, because yesterday it was Sunday and I shot a couple of videos for this YouTube channel. Also, I plan to... Oh, okay, great. I'm glad that the music is good. Erdbeer-chan. And Manohar says that he's doing prop and weapon design homework. I mean, I kind of love doing props and weapons. I feel like it's a really cool bit. Hi, Lovelana. I think it's a really nice bit of homework if you have to do homework. Of course, my favorite part of doing homework for my animation classes was always to do character design. I really like doing turnarounds, for example. and expression sheets. I feel like it doesn't really feel like homework when I do those. Or, you know, when I used to do those, at least. But yeah, so I'm also planning to download kind of these live streams that I'm doing for MerMay and turn them into proper videos once MerMay is done. So in June, you'll probably see like a shortened, condensed version of these videos that I've been doing. So I'm just trying to put on some more music. And also, I am very glad that you're making risotto, Rob, and that you're enjoying the live in the meantime. I've been cooking just before coming on the live, and I have been cooking, well, I've been baking more than cooking, I guess. As in, I'm doing like some oven, like vegetables. And I just baked some bread. Ah, okay. Ho capito adesso. So, yeah. What was I doing? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so filled in. So yeah, I've been cooking as well, but I'm going to eat after I do the live. So now that my food is ready, it's just gonna sit there in the oven and then I'm gonna eat it later. It's kind of hard to understand what's going on behind all these lines, to be fair, but I have to try. So yeah, I was thinking of re-editing these live sessions that I've been doing and make some videos with these live sessions, but like, you know, 10 or 20 minutes videos. And I was thinking of recording some voiceover talking about each mermaid that I've been drawing and the environments that they are protecting, because I don't know if you followed the concept behind these mermaid series, but basically it was the idea that these mermaids are actually the kind of like protectors or guardians of the environments that they represent. So, you know, the river mermaid, of course, is like a river witch, and she has been living in the river for so long that she has bonded with some of the fish in the river, and she has, you know, gained the tail. And same thing goes for the other mermaids, just, you know, with different characteristics and environments. And so I was thinking of doing these voiceovers focusing on the kind of environmental challenges that these specific habitats are facing right now. You know, like, you know, pollution and the, you know, rising sea level, and in general all the things that are wrong with the world nowadays, climate speaking. So I don't know if you guys would find that interesting. I would have to do some research, obviously. It wouldn't be just like me talking hot air. I would actually, you know, read some books and, you know, link to the actual sources with, you know, maybe some calls to action, you know, things that we can do to improve the situation, you know, especially if you live, you know, near especially if you live near a body of water, and, you know, what you can do to make sure that that, you know, body of water is respected and cared for. I feel like I am very close to oh, that's great, thanks, Rob. Rob just wrote on the chat that he would 100% love that, so I'm really happy. But yeah, I feel like, for me, I feel very connected to water because, I mean, it's not like I believe like 100%. Muta, sorry, that was my dog. Just being loud because someone is on the. Is that outside of the door, like probably my neighbor coming back home for dinner. But yeah, I mean, it's not like I believe like 100% the, you know, the kind of archetypes for, you know, one's character or, you know, one's personality. But I do think that they do have some truth to it. So, you know, there's like, you know, the 4 elements, air, water, fire, and earth, and how for some psychological schools or like schools of thought, basically, these also represent, I'm glad. Thank you, Lana. But for some, psychological school of thought, these elements represent sort of personality archetypes. Yeah, my dog is loud. And so basically one of my best friends, she's a social worker, but she's also what in Italy is called educatrice, which means that her job is to work with people and create kind of customized plans for them to, you know, improve their mental health and, you know, condition. And she has also studied a lot sort of like non-verbal communication, and part of these studies is also studying these kind of personality archetypes. And we were talking about it, and she said that I am like 100% the water archetype, and I agree. But she said that because basically water people are usually, they're kind of like water, you know, they are changeable and tend to mold themselves to a situation. So if you have like water kind of personality, you tend to kind of adapt very well to situation by just sort of like molding yourself to and changing very fast. So you're very good at like changing and adapting to new situations, but that also means that sometimes, I mean, obviously it's got like its pros and cons, but this whole digression was just to say that I feel very connected to water, just because it's both personality wise, and also when I was younger, I was basically thrown in a swimming pool when I was like a few months old. Like my mom used to do this course, which is in Italian called acquaticità, which means basically it's like a mother and baby course, but in a swimming pool. So literally when I was like a few weeks old, I think, I was put in a swimming pool, and hence my love for water, I think. And I'm glad that Manohar enjoys painting props, and that's relaxing. But yeah, like still life is my least favorite thing to draw, by the way. And yeah, you're right, like Avatar as well, like it's connected to that. But yeah, so yeah, I always felt very connected to water in general, and especially now that I'm also been doing rowing as a sport, like as an activity. I spend so much time on the river in my town, so that's pretty nice. And it's also kind of sad sometimes to see how polluted the river is on some days. Vicky Illustration says that she's a water element too, also thrown into a pool as a baby as a part of rehab because my right foot was turned inside. Really? And did it work? Like, did your foot got better? I hope so. Yeah, I mean, that's heavy. But yeah, so I've been kind of sad to see how the river is polluted on certain days. Like, it's not always polluted, it's actually quite clear on most days, but on certain days it's really bad. Like, there was one day, for example, where there had been some oil spilling, like up river, like uphill, and so the whole river was like really oily and like really disgusting for days, and we couldn't even go rowing because it was so disgusting. And I mean, I have actually fallen into the river, and it is like a city river, you know, like it goes straight in the middle of the city, so it's not exactly clean even when it's clear, you know. But you know, it's an experience, you know. I welcome all types of experience. So yeah, here's the basic layer for this mermaid. I'm gonna pixel lock it and see what I can do. I'm not sure whether I want her to have like rosy skin tone or maybe even like a bluish kind of skin tone. I think I definitely want her to be slightly bluish, but maybe not like proper blue. Like, she's not the, you know, she's not the zombie king from A Song of Ice and Fire, so, but maybe just a little bit bluish, I'm not sure. Also, Vic illustrations, along with my ankle tendon's been a bit weaker and prone to injury. I don't remember having trouble walking or anything. Oh, okay, I'm really glad. That's, you know, that's really good. That's the healing power of water. There you go. But yeah, I mean, so I'm gonna just start with a pale, like pinkish kind of skin tone, and then let's see if I want to amend it later on. So, but her hair does need to be silvery, I think. So, create a new layer, make a clipping mask, and let's get painting. Well, I mean, it's all obviously just flat colors for the start. But still on the river, the great thing is that I noticed a couple of weeks ago, I was doing a session on Saturday morning, which is kind of a busy day because obviously on Saturday morning there's like loads of people who can't go during the week. Hi Gustavo, nice seeing you here. So yeah, so a ton of people who can't really go rowing during the week because maybe they don't have, you know, good working hours. And also there's a lot of kids who do their rowing lessons. So overall, going on a Saturday morning is actually super busy, and it's not really the best time for rowing in my city. But I was able to see these kids that were doing a, not really, like I do rowing like with the really long and skinny boats that you like, you know, I do sculling basically, while these kids were doing rowing on a kayak, so like it was more like kayaking basically, and they were actually doing this activity where their teachers was taking them really close to the riverbank, and all the kids like they were like 2 or 3 different kayaks manned by 4 or 5 kids per kayak, and they were all like 2 kids would be like actually paddling, and the other ones would be sort of like catching the trash that was sitting on the riverbanks. And I thought, you know, that's a really great activity. I wish I had known about that when I was a kid, and I would have enjoyed that, you know, go picking up trash from the river. So yeah, what I mean is like I would like to maybe research more of those things and maybe talk about them in these videos that I want to do after MerMay is finished. And I'm just gonna kind of re-edit these live drawing sessions and make them into educational kind of environmental little videos, if I can, you know, if I make it. sometimes I get, you know, too busy, and even if I have all these ideas, I don't manage to actually put them into practice. But I really hope that I will be able to, because it's something that I am really passionate about. So yeah, that was my little digression into talking about water in general. And I mean, we all know that water is super important for life on Earth, so it's important to preserve it and protect it. So her hair is gonna be this kind of silvery color, and then she has this crown on as well, because she's a queen and she's really pissed off. Sorry, I'm just gonna make the music start again. I listened to this playlist from Epidemic Music, which is a kind of like royalty-free kind of software, like, well, not software, like a catalog of royalty-free music, and it's great because it's royalty-free, so I can put them on during the live stream, and then YouTube will not like ban the video afterwards, on the grounds that it's got copyright stolen. So that's why I'm using this, even though it's the music is a little bit repetitive, I think, but you know, it's just chill lo-fi, so whatever. And also, Manohar, I am glad that you like the prospect. So in terms of plans for next week and next month, like the future, I also have these other ideas that I want to put into practice, and I don't know, I hope I will be able to. I definitely have too many ideas, basically, and too little time to put them into action. But the idea was I'm just like trying to get the right color for the ice crown here from the reference. But yeah, one other idea that I am working on, and I am trying to kind of see if it's feasible, it's to I can't recognize which one is the crown and which one is the hair anymore. Fuck. Yeah, too many ideas, so little time, definitely. But basically, I wanted to create a new course. Like, you probably know, I already have a few drawing courses out on Skillshare and on 21 Draw, which is a website for people who want to learn drawing at affordable prices, basically. But I am exploring this new concept that I came across, which is new for me. I mean, it's not new in general, like, it's just new for me because I didn't know about it before. Which is called, it's a website called Teachable, which basically doesn't really have their own platform. It's more like they give you the means to create your own platform. So I would have the ability to just make my own courses and host them on my website. And then you can even do live courses. So basically I would be able to do like a proper course, as in, you know, 20 or 30 people can sign up, and then we can have actual live sessions, like a seminar on Zoom, basically, for, you know, 8 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever, like a proper class, basically. And I don't know if that's something that any of you guys would be interested. I am going to make a poll about it in my stories on Instagram later on this week, to kind of test the waters and see if that's something that could have some following. Because I just think that, you know, I am like a really strong supporter of online learning and online teaching, obviously, considering how many courses I have out. But I also think that the delay that you get when you just watch a video and then you don't have like the teacher there to ask them questions. Or I mean, obviously for the price that you pay on Skillshare and 21 Draw, they can't let you have access to the teacher, in real time, or even really expect the teachers to give you feedback at any time. Like, that's something that if you send me your work after you've taken one of my courses on 21 Draw, I will look at it and give you feedback, but that's literally, I'm not getting paid for it. I'm just like doing it because I feel like I have a responsibility towards people who have taken one of my courses, but that's not something that I get paid for. And so the good thing about having one of these kind of courses where we would actually, have like a live session, and then I would have time, because they would be a little more expensive, but then I would also actually follow, the students like more closely. So that's something that I was wondering like about, and maybe I will start up this summer, or at worst kind of September probably, if I see that people are into it. Yeah, so that's another thing. Also, I obviously want to keep making videos for YouTube, because I really enjoy it, mostly. I feel like, especially with Instagram... Ciao Lucia! Buonasera! I feel like, especially with Instagram being so crap, I'm really enjoying being on YouTube, because it's like I definitely take more time. It takes more time for me to make a video, but I also feel like it's a lot more rewarding than because it's like on Instagram you get these this kind of high. I mean, if you are an artist and you have posted on Instagram before, you probably know this. When you post something and you get a good response, like you see people putting, like, giving you a lot of likes and comments, and people writing, oh, I love it, oh, that's really good, whatever. You get a high from it, like you get like a little kick out of it, and that's great. But at the end of the day, it's a very ephemeral kind of pleasure, because as soon as that's, the next day, that's gone, because on Instagram things move along so quickly. Simona says that she just did an online course where they correct the exercises on Zoom in like real time, and it was very useful, so that's good. That's I am glad that you agree. But yeah, so what I wanted to say is basically just that on CGMA, it's a very good experience. I did that as well, Manohar. CGMA, it's an online website. Of course, if it's online, it's a website. But yeah, it's an online school that does the kind of 6 weeks or 8 weeks courses where they follow you live and they give you feedback live. Hi, Breen! And of course, they are a little more expensive than these other schools like Skillshare or Domestika, or the online courses that are pre-recorded and where you don't get actual access to the teacher unless they unless they're nice and they allow you to talk to them. But right, so this is the crown. I can't remember what I was talking about. Whatever. Okay, so the body will have this kind of silvery tail. So I'm just gonna lay down the colors for the tail. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. So basically, my point was that on Instagram there is this kind of ephemeral pleasure, and it will, go off the next day, because the shelf life basically of a post on Instagram is maybe like 2 or 3 days. Like after 2 or 3 days, you stop having, like, people stop seeing your post, if they ever see it at all. So they, so you're constantly kind of encouraged to create new stuff at a very high rate, and it doesn't almost even matter like the actual quality of the stuff that you post. I mean, it matters to you if you care about posting stuff that is good quality, but it doesn't really affect almost the rate of success that you'll have. Instead, on YouTube, the thing that I've noticed and that I am really enjoying is that you can still see videos of people if they have posted them, a year ago or 2 years ago. Like, if you like the people that I usually follow the most, like people whose videos I watch the most, then YouTube keeps suggesting to me videos that are from last year or 2 years ago, and that's great, because it means that it takes longer to make a video, but that time is kind of rewarded. You know what I mean? Like, the care that you put into it is rewarded at the end of the day. So I really enjoy that concept, that the shelf life is extended. Also, Vic says that she's still doing the line art on the Ocean Mermaid because typical me took on too many projects at once and is behind on all of them. Hey, that reminds me of someone. Me. I don't know why I have this problem. Like, I can never say no to people. Partly because I just enjoy most projects. Like, I'm one of those people that gets excited quite easily. And also because I have this fear of, not doing enough, not kind of, maybe missing opportunities sometimes, even though at the end of the day, if you're so busy that you can't even do the stuff that you already have on, you probably, you probably shouldn't take on any more projects, but go tell me. I mean, I just don't seem to get the memo. That was a pun. Actually, I didn't mean to make it, but it just came out because Memo is also my name. Like, that was why it was a pun. It was a very bad pun, but it was one indeed. Say no is not the problem. Most of them are personal projects I put on myself. Yeah, I mean, that is my issue, actually, that I have the client work that I cannot say no to, and then I also have my personal projects that I want to still do, even though I have the, the paid work also to do. So it's kind of like a thing that gets put on a thing that gets put on a thing, and then I am just buried under all these layers of things. Mike here talk says that he approves of the pun. Thank you. I am. I hope that it was worth a Tam's joke. And also, Love Lana says that it's a common problem. I have the same problem. Yeah. I don't know why. I feel like maybe it's like a generational thing where we're just exposed to so much media and so many inputs. If you think about it, like we probably, the problem arises when your personal projects at the time you have reserved for your job projects. It's true. That is also an issue. Just putting some music back on again. And I think maybe, as I was saying, like, maybe it's like a generational thing where we are exposed to like so many inputs, like so much more than any person really living in any kind of time of humankind on Earth. And so maybe that's why we just keep wanting to do things and to add to the amount of media and data just constantly streaming in our daily life. I don't know. Just before the live I was drawing and then I left it behind to start writing an idea and it just come to me. Yeah. It does happen to me as well. Like yesterday, it was Sunday and I had planned to do a lot of filming, and also I had to finish a couple of illustrations and I had to do this line art to prepare for the live. And I just literally juggled all the things. I was like, okay, and then I'm gonna start doing this, and then okay, just switch that, and then post that, and then write that, and then, you know, I worked the whole day. And then because my partner wasn't home, so I basically just I didn't even have like a lunch break. It was more like just eating my Tupperware stuff that I had prepared the day before in front of the computer. And then when I finished, I was like, oh my god, it's 7 o'clock, and so I hadn't even noticed the whole day go by, and I hadn't even, you know, spoken to anybody all day. So yeah, I think that's when it becomes a little bit of an issue. You know, it's great to work and it's great to create, but it's also good to sometimes just step back and realize that life is not just creating constantly and putting stuff out constantly. It's also just sort of sitting around and look at nothing really, you know, just look at the world or whatever. Because as Gustavo says, time passes so quickly. And then, you know, when you're about to die, I don't think you go, oh, I wish I had worked more, you know. So I've got the flat color for the tail down. I'm gonna do the cape, I think. I'm just putting down these flat colors, and I'm not even sure right now that I'm gonna keep them of, you know, this color. Like the palette for this one is still very, very much a mystery to me. Mostly because it's very muted, like everything will be kind of silvery white and light blue, like ice blue. So I just need to figure out exactly how to put all those colors together and in a way that they still look nice. I think in, like, personally, analog palettes, analog color palettes, so colors that are similar to each other, they sit close by to each other in the color wheel, are the palettes that I find most difficult to deal with. Like, I am more familiar with using complementary color palettes like the Ocean Mermaid that I drew last week. Like, that's the kind of palette that I am used to. So drawing something this muted, sort of, you know, just this kind of monotone is actually very hard for me. Like, I never know where to strike the balance. But I think that's the great thing about working with flat colors and silhouettes before setting, you know, before settling on an actual palette, is that you can just put all the different colors on different layers, and then when you have them all down, you can use the hue and saturation sliders to just change them quickly and assess whether they are, you know, working or not. Hi Vera, I am glad that you love it. You know, when you got like a large part, you can just color like this. That's easier. Right. So here's the So here's the cape. Then the tail. Yeah, it is challenging, the color scheme, Gustavo says. I think it's more difficult to work with a analog, like monotone color scheme, because it doesn't provide that sort of immediate eye-catchy effect that that a complementary color palette does. And so you feel, at least I feel, compelled to improve the thing, you know, like the artwork with some other stuff, like adding a ton of detail or adding too much kind of like lighting and shading. And I think that there is, you know, there is a balance between adding the right amount of lighting and shading and adding too much. Like, that's something that happens when, especially depending on the type of style that you choose. But for example, my style is quite flat, you know, it's quite cartoony. So if you add too much lighting and shading, I feel like that's a very kind of beginner thing to do. I used to do it a lot as a beginner because you try and complement, like, to compensate, you know, your lack of craftsmanship with a ton of effects, like lighting effects. Hi, Alisa! Nice to see you here. So yeah, so sometimes you see these like artworks that are very nice, but then they have too much lighting on them. And again, I feel like that's the mark of someone who's a bit insecure about their craftsmanship, and so they just tend to overcompensate a little bit. And I still do that sometimes, and I think you'll be able to recognize it in some of my artwork. If I tell you this now and like in the future you see one of my artwork and it's like there's too much detail, and you'll be able to go, oh, she didn't feel good about this specific artwork, so she felt like she had to put on a ton of effects. And I feel like that's also true when I use analog palettes, because the palette itself is not very bright, it's not very eye-catchy, so I tend to go overboard with the lighting effects. Right, I am almost done with the flat coloring. But guys, by the way, is any of you guys also on Twitch? Like, are you Twitch users or are you mostly YouTube users? Like, I admit I have never really gotten into Twitch because I don't know why. I mean, I just haven't. And I know that like people who use Twitch are usually quite loyal to like Twitch creators. I have tried to stream on Twitch a couple of times, but it's just so hard as a platform, so I quickly gave up. I mean, I think that you just have to pick your battles, you know. Sometimes there's no way that you can be on any platform. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just like, sometimes I just look to this side because I am reading. I have the opposite. If I don't like a piece, I just put on the least effort into additional effects and just move on. The more I like the piece, the wilder I go. And thank you, Brain, for your starry eyes. I appreciate that. I'm really getting pissed off by the fact that the tip of the Apple Pencil is getting so bad. Like, it's like sometimes it just doesn't work anymore. I'm gonna have to buy a replacement, I think. Right, so for the moment, this is the palette. I mean, it can be better, I think. Also because now I have... Okay, Lovelana has Twitch but uses very little. Oh, yeah, live about League of Legends. Don't worry, Vera. I am glad you enjoyed the video. So, at the moment, I have this palette. Yeah, I feel like that's the thing. A lot of like Twitch creators also have YouTube channels, so I end up watching some of them, like some of their videos, but mostly on YouTube. Just because I feel like I understand YouTube better. I feel like it's a little more, I don't know, I feel like it's a little more accessible, if you know what I mean. But now I have this problem that this palette has, it's very analog-ish, but also has kind of like different types of gray. So I have some gray that is more magenta, so like it goes more towards purple, and some gray that goes more towards blue, and some gray that I think, this one specifically, actually goes more towards green. I can see it easily if I color pick it and then just go here. Oh no, that's actually also kind of purplish. So yeah, I don't understand Twitch either. Hi Bunny Bye! I am glad that you're here. I'm just gonna put some music back on. So because I have this issue of all these different grays, the reason why I say it's an issue is that having like a lot of grays all like veering towards different colors, I feel like it makes the palette look sloppy. It's like either you can do like an analog palette that all goes on the same kind of shades, or just pick colors that are very different from one another. But I feel like if you just pick things that are kind of similar but not on the same, you know, like this gray here is gray but with a hint between blue and purple, and instead this gray here from the hair, it's a lot more purple, and then you have here, and that's just blue. So I feel like I need to kind of like solve this before I can move on with the palette. Right. How can I solve this? First I need to finish up this jewels that she's got on her arm. Why not use a palette similar to Avatar Water Tribe? That's actually a very good idea, Gustavo. It's just that, like, I feel like in Avatar, the Water Tribe has a very deep kind of blue, whilst I wanted her to be more icy. So like in the Southern Water Tribe has a blue that is more like ocean blue, whilst the Northern Water Tribe in Avatar uses blue that is more towards purple, and that's, you know, that's good. I love the palettes in, and in general, like the colors in Avatar. But I feel like for this mermaid, I wanted her to be more like icy. Like, I feel like it's probably more similar to Elsa's kind of clothing, you know, just like white and blue, like very light blue, like ice blue. But I appreciate the suggestion. That's actually a very good way of getting out of the problem. So I'm just gonna turn on the reference here. I'm gonna do the tail. Yeah, keep it. Yeah. And the fins, I'm just putting them a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna try and use very light shades of blue. And like the crown as well needs to go a little lighter and a little less saturated, I think. And the hair. And I think the best way, yeah, monochromatic, exactly. I think the best way about if you put every single element on a different layer, you can then just use the hue and saturation like tool to make sure that, you know, you're changing the color to your preferred kind of shade. Yeah. Right now I feel like it's already becoming a lot more put together overall. So I'm gonna keep it like this for now. And I'm also gonna change this as well slightly, maybe. Okay, so I'm gonna focus on the tail first, and here, as you may have seen from the mermaids before, this is the one that I did last week. I have done this thing with the tail where I use many different sort of like little dots. I paint many different little dots of paint where to create this kind of texture, so that the tail, like the clothes tail, like, you know, the dress tail kind of goes on top of the skin, like the human skin, and it kind of blends with each other. So I'm gonna do that. When I deal with a palette like this, I go for the fashion rule. I make most of the color close and cohesive and then choose one statement color to bring in some life. I agree. That's a very good rule. If you go into the harmony bits in Procreate, the great thing is that you can get your accent color by just kind of color picking the main shade and then use the complementary color on in the complementary basically here. I think here the complementary color is this kind of like orangey, but I would definitely like push it a lot more bright. Maybe use like a bright blue. I don't know. Let's see. Also, Elsa, one of my favorite characters, though I always had a thing for the villains. Yeah. I mean, if we're talking like favorite Disney characters, I definitely also have a thing for the villains. Like, I mean, talking about The Little Mermaid, for example, I think that Ursula never did anything wrong. Like, she's been wrongly accused, honestly. She was just like minding her own business and making deals and, you know, just sticking to her deals. And then the Little Mermaid got there and wanted her voice back as well as her legs, and then they actually killed her for it. I mean, the poor woman had done nothing wrong. Is it worth getting a 13 inches iPad Pro if I already have a Cintiq? Will it help my workflow on Photoshop since Procreate can export PSD files because I enjoy working in cafes or if I am on the move? Well, okay, so I have this iPad and also I have a Cintiq, and I mean, for me it does make sense because I mean, not that I'm going anywhere right now, obviously, because for like a year I wasn't able to travel anywhere like anybody else, but when I was able to travel, I actually find it very useful to have the iPad because I could, you know, travel and, you know, actually, you know, bring my work with me. I actually traveled in Thailand 2 years ago now for quite a few weeks, and I was able to even do actual work, you know, during the day in cafes, and that was really good. So I would say definitely, like, it's always a matter of whether you can afford it and not break the bank, I think, because, like, I mean, I'm always saying it doesn't really matter what tools you have. If you're, you know, good and motivated, then it doesn't really matter. By the way, Alisa, I know I was joking. Like, I do really like Ursula as a character, but I was joking. Like, I was being sarcastic regarding what I was saying. But yeah, Manohar, like. Non preoccuparti. Lovlana is saying that she also loves Ursula as a villain. Cosa stai cucinando? Because she's saying that she can't translate, and because she's also cooking whilst watching the live. So yeah, my point is just that if you... yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you have a lot of travel like planned and you can afford it, like if it's not something I am sorry, I am sarcastic like 90% of the time, Alisa, so I am a very snarky kind of person, unfortunately. But I do love Ursula in general as a character. I think she has a lot of great things going on for her as a character. She's one of those villains that is very lovable because she's funny and she has a lot of personality. Yeah, I mean, my traveling plans went down the drain too. I had a lot of travel planned for 2020 and none of it happened. Well, actually, the only one that happened was the first bit of travel that I had planned in February last year, before they closed up everything. And I went to Sevilla, to Spain, to do a workshop with TV Choi, which is one of my favorite artists. But yeah, so I guess if you can afford an iPad, and you know, it's definitely a great tool to have, in my opinion. And for example, piadina cotto e mozzarella perché vi faccio preparare. I kind of want a piadina now. For the non-Italians here, piadina is like a quick kind of flatbread that you heat up in a pan with some other, like with any condiments that you want. Like usually you put cheese and maybe some kind of meat or some kind of veggies in it. Lovlana, you should write the address of your fanfictions. Really? The dubbing was done by a man? Seriously? But yeah, even staying at home, I do use my iPad quite a lot. Even though I could just use my Cintiq most of the times, but I feel like the iPad has a different sensitivity to the pencil. So sometimes I just use the iPad because I enjoy it more in terms of the actual feeling when I'm drawing. So I'm trying to give this tail and corset a little bit of sparkle, like this corset here would have. Yeah, I mean, it is a very expensive tool. And again, I don't think it's necessary at all. I don't think any tool is necessary to be, to improve your craftsmanship. It's more like, if you can afford it, why not? But I wouldn't go into debt to get one. Because at the end of the day, like, if you can draw with a sketchbook and, you can draw anywhere, really. So the point is not what tools you're using. The point is the amount of time and, effort that you put into learning, I think. Basically, I don't believe in talent. And I just believe in, hard work. And hard work pays off. This tip is not working. Okay, so Lovlana, I was asking her to post a link to her fanfictions if she wants to. But she said that she hasn't published anything yet, which I totally understand the kind of fear that you might have in posting something that is yours. Like, I have been writing this fantasy, like young adult fantasy, for a year almost now. And even though I have like a few like chapters, like half of the book, it's kind of ready. But I have, I have posted it to, I have like given it to very few people because I feel still very tentative about it. So I totally understand, it's hard to let people look at your stuff because it's, it's stuff that you put a lot in, and if people say that it's crap, or even if people say nothing, even if people just don't really care about it, that's almost as crushing, I think. And yeah, I mean, talent, I don't know, it's not that I don't think that some people have talent. Like I think, there is probably some people who have a natural kind of instinct for shapes, or visualizing thing in a, like understanding, the concepts behind shapes and color theory in an instinctive kind of manner. So I'm not saying that that's not something, I do believe that's true, but at the same time I feel like a ton of those people don't really get anywhere, like, because the point is not just having that raw talent. The point is also actually be willing to put the discipline in to develop it. And also, on the other hand, I think that a lot of people who are not naturally talented can get to amazing results by just working hard. I think in the end, hard work pays more than just talent. I mean, that's just my opinion. Also, thank you, Rob, for saying that you bet it's awesome. You are such a nice cheerleader, Rob. Thank you. And Lavlana, only my best friend had the pleasure of reading something. I started writing because a friend made me go on Wattpad. Maybe it helped that I was a kid, but as of now, I have no fear of making my writing public. I have a beautiful problem with letting people close to me read anything of mine. Actually, that's also true. I gave like quite a lot of my stuff to my mom to read because she's a very, very avid reader, and I don't feel embarrassed, by her reading my stuff, even if sometimes it's very private. And I've always shown to her my stuff since I was a kid, even if some stuff was a little bit racy sometimes. But my mom is really cool, so I don't mind, her reading my stuff. And she used to be a professional journalist, so she can also give me some actual good advice. But she's one of the few people that are close to me that actually read, like, that I actually give my stuff to read. So yeah, I understand that kind of thing of like going, I don't know if I want people close to me reading my stuff. So I'm gonna try and use the Luminance light pen to light up these bodies even more. And also the crown. I'm just gonna put it on top of everything else. and just kind of put in some little light dots. Cool. Please do let me know if you post anything. I would love to read it. So I'm just putting ton of little light dots everywhere. The trick with light dots, I think, is just to not to exaggerate. Like, if you light everything up, then you're not gonna have anything lit up, if you know what I mean. Like, you need to have a balance of bits that are in the shade and bits that are lit up. Okay. Coloring the ocean mermaid, I chose a flower horn. Child, sea clyde is a reference fish, and I'm starting to regret that. I don't know what fish that is, but I can't even pronounce it, so I can see why we would regret it. Right, so I am gonna just render this ice stuff for a bit now. So the way that I usually render ice is that the ice is like the darker color goes in the inside. So I'm just gonna put the opacity down on the heart brush a little bit. Do you use Adobe color themes while painting in Photoshop, or do you pick from a mood board? Really hard to come up with good palettes for me. So I do use Adobe Colors. I think it's a very good tool. I use it on Photoshop, although that's mostly when I do more like graphic design work kind of thing. I tend to go more from like mood boards when I'm painting like characters. I tend to create these mood boards, like these mood boards that I created for this mermaid project, and then I just color pick from the reference pictures and then go from there. And usually I do quite a lot of thumbnails before I get started, so that I have done a few options and then I know exactly what I'm gonna do. Obviously I didn't do it for this project because I just wanted to make it more interesting, right? Like, I wanted you guys to see it live. But usually I do that. I think when you do the thumbnails and you can change the thumbnails quickly, you really get a feeling for what you want to see in the final picture. So I would recommend doing that. Oh, okay. I understand what fish that is. So I'm gonna do some more intense blue in the inside. I feel like when I'm rendering eyes, I always use this like hard airbrush kind of brush, and then put down the opacity a little bit, and then you can move the brush in a way that it's like very soft, and then sometimes just push down a little more, like not that much, but push down a little more to give this idea of like areas where the, you know, like for the water as well, you know, areas where the element is more concentrated. And then just kind of follow the 3D shape of the eyes that I already created before. I don't know if you used the mood board that I made, but that might also be why, because in the mood board I realized that I chose mostly pictures of models with darker skins, so that might be why as well. And also, I mean, that's a great development, if anything. So there's a little bit more representation in the art community. Like luminance and light pan. Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of makes sense as well for mermaids to have darker skin tones, especially if the fish that you're putting with the tail comes from an area like, I don't know, the Caribbean, or if it's like a tropical fish. Right, so I am almost done. I need to do... I still don't know about the skin tone for this lady, by the way. She would look kind of nice with darker skin as well. Or like with like ultra light skin. Honestly, I don't know if I prefer like blue. Yeah, I don't know. Blue or like dark skin. Dark would like make more of a difference with the rest of the palette. So I kind of want to do that. Okay, so let's try it like this. Going into touch-ups, nice brush for the blush. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I did like the blue one, but I think the dark skin makes a bit more of a contrast with the rest of the body. Thank you, Gustav. I'm glad that you also think he looks nice. Just tidying up around here. Okay. Lips. Dark lips or blue lips? I don't know what color to do the lips, to be honest. Maybe dark. Dark is the way. Right. Kind of like to make it darker, like the cape. Actually, Gustavo, maybe I am going more towards the avatar like northern tribe. I'm glad, Alisa, that it was nice to draw with me, and I hope that you have a very good evening or rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Yeah, I mean, I'm using this darker like purple, which is very northern water tribe. And she looks a bit more deadly. She's badass. I like her. This might become my favorite mermaid. Ooh, thank you, Gabriel. I'm glad that you like her. So I'm just adding, as you can see, these little glimmer lights on the exterior of her cape. Grazie, Simona. Okay. She's very glittery, that's for sure. So what do I have to do still? Okay, so I need to work on the fin. Thank you. Yeah, that was the idea, for her to look a little bit like snow capped. Still the touch-ups. Thank you, Breen. I'm just adding some texture to the fin and also to the actual tail. Just adding a level of different colors here. I'm just checking if it's still similar to this one as the style goes, but I think it is. Right, so it's really almost done. I need to do some more color variants to her hair. So I'm gonna move here. I'm just adding some strands of different color here. And adding some darker ones as well. This music now, it's, I don't know why, I'm just, as I was saying, I'm listening to this website called Epidemic Music that gives you royalty-free music, which is the only way that you can do live streams on YouTube without your video getting blocked because of the royalties. And I don't know why now it's chosen this music. It's like, doesn't have anything to do with my original playlist, but whatever. Feels like it's a little bit more summery. Right. I'm gonna change the line art color as before. I'm just gonna choose a slightly, I can actually just feel the layer, I think, in some ways. So for the line art here, I'm just choosing a slightly darker color than the color of the element that it's underneath the line art. So that it provides some difference, but like not too great a contrast, basically. And the thing about the line art is also to make sure that if you're using this technique where you're repainting the line art with a slightly darker color than the color that is inside of the line art, just you can still do it fairly quickly. Like, as you can see, it doesn't need to be like super accurate. And you can also vary the color of the line art according to whether it's like an outer line art or an inside line art. So for example here, for the outer bits, I can even make it a little darker so that I give it more of a definite kind of shape and boundary. So a person who looks at this immediately understands what are the main shapes, and then goes in and understands the detail on a second kind of moment. Sometimes you can even use like a lighter color for the line art. Like for example here I was wondering for the eyes, I can use basically white for the inner eyes color, so it adds even more to the idea of this being an actual like block of ice that has been carved into a staff. Right. I think like it's done. Maybe the tail just needs to be a little more blue. Yeah. I think that's it. I can add just a very small layer of lighting and shading and then I'm done. Whenever I line up this color I find it strange. Strange how? What size of the canvas am I using? I think for this one I'm using A3. So I'm using like a print size for the canvas, which is in pixels I think it's around 3000 pixels by 5000 or something like that. I think anything in pixels around 3000 to 5000 it's pretty good. When I use square sizes, my size of choice is 4000 by 4000, which I think is pretty good. I mean, 4000 by 4000 means if you use the DPI at 300 DPI, it's big enough that you can print it and it will look fine even if you print it like poster size, you know, pretty big. So that's why it's my kind of weapon choice in terms of size. Although it doesn't really matter because when I post it on social media, it gets compressed quite a lot. So if you just want to post stuff online, you probably are okay even using just HD or or 2000 by 2000 or something. But I always use sizes that would be okay for printing, because you never know when you have to print something. worries. Sorry, I'm answering less because I'm just really focused on the lighting. Oh wow, your cat brought in a small toad. Wow. I don't think I've ever actually seen a toad in real life. Did you save it? Did you give it back its freedom? Some toad is poison. Wow. As I said, I don't have a very big experience with toads. They are not in my area of expertise. I'm gonna put down the multiply layer a little bit, like 60%. Okay. I'm sure he'll be fine. No, 40%. So I'm gonna do like, because the multiply layer, the shading layer is a lot more evident on the tail than on the face and the rest of the body, and I want it to be a bit more evident on the face. So I'm gonna change a pixel lot layer with the multiply, and I'm gonna put a slightly darker color, then choose a bigger brush, like in the airbrushing section, like this soft brush here, and I'm gonna repaint some of the areas that I want to look darker. So that I can get the darker area on the skin where I want the color to be more obvious, and keep it lighter down here where it's already pretty dark. Now one layer for the lighting, one overlay. Just lighten up some of these areas. I love putting down the lighting. I think lighting just does so much to a piece. It just lights it up so great. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people paint with darker colors as a background, and I think I do that as well if I am painting something more in a realistic kind of style, or like more painterly. But if I'm doing like cartoony stuff, you know, like my usual style, I don't mind the white background. I think you should never paint on a white background because that is very like it skews up your whole feeling of color. So definitely, yeah, if you want to paint something, just always use a darker background, like a muted color, like ochre, or you know, like a beige, basically. I forgot to do the bracelet actually. Yeah, mid-gray background is pretty good. Especially, I mean, it depends what style, again, you're using and what method. Like when I was studying at animation school, we had a workshop once based on like Renaissance kind of technique of painting, like color painting, basically, just painting with light. And the idea there is that you have a mid-gray background and then you do a value study by adding just lighter grays and darker grays, and you calculate, looking at the subject that you're trying to draw, you calculate how, like what is the darker, like the darker possible color that you have in the scene, and then what is the lighter possible color that you have in the scene, and you work your way around it by doing the value study of all the other areas, bits and pieces, basically. So in that case, you start again with like a very neutral gray as a background and work your way kind of like from it. Yeah, it is a very nice exercise, I think. It's very useful in general to really start to understand how light and color work together. So yeah, I think I am done. I'm gonna leave the lighting layer quite high because I quite like how it sort of, you know, brighted up, lit up the whole image. Maybe 65. Right, I am done, guys. That's it. I really like her. I think she might be my favorite one. I don't know. It's a difficult choice. But yeah, I thought tonight was super fun, guys. Thank you so much for joining the live. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope that you enjoyed this time spent together. And I shall see you soon. That is next Sunday. I'm gonna be drawing the last mermaid. Thank you, Gustavo. Yeah, the avatar mermaid. But yeah, I think I'm gonna be drawing the last prompt. Of course, thank you. Of course, this is the fourth mermaid, and then the next one is gonna be the bonus mermaid. It's gonna be the mermaid from the depths. So she's like gonna be one of those weird looking animals, like fish that live very like in the depths of the sea. Thank you, Brin, and thank you, Lovelana. So yeah, I'm gonna go eat my dinner, and I hope that you guys have a great evening or a great rest of the day, depending on what time it is for you. Yeah, Queen of the Northern Water Tribe. Right, thanks again, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!